Many seniors are not struggling because of one bad meal. They may be feeding inflammation through small choices repeated every week. After 60, that can show up as stiff joints, tired mornings, brain fog, swelling, and blood sugar that feels harder to control. So today, we are going straight into 5 foods that may help calm hidden inflammation. The first food is fatty fish. This includes salmon, sardines, trout, herring, anchovies, and mackerel. Fatty fish is one of the most useful anti-inflammatory foods for older adults because it gives you high-quality protein and omega-3 fats in the same meal. The 2 omega-3 fats we pay close attention to are EPA and DHA. These fats help the body produce compounds involved in resolving inflammation, which means they help the body move from irritation back toward balance. That matters after 60 because inflammation and aging rarely affect only one part of the body. A person may feel it first in the knees, but the same internal pattern may also affect blood vessels, blood sugar, energy, and recovery. Fatty fish is valuable because it supports several systems at once. It is not only an anti-inflammatory food, it is also a protein food, and protein becomes more important when older adults are trying to maintain muscle, strength, balance, and independence. A simple target is 2 servings of fish per week, especially fatty fish. The American Heart Association recommends 2 servings weekly, with 1 serving being about 3 ounces cooked, or about 3/4 of a cup of flaked fish. That is not a huge portion. It is about the size of the palm of your hand. Here is what that can look like in real life. One night, you could have salmon with cooked greens and sweet potato. Later in the week, you could have sardines on whole grain toast with tomato. If you do not like strong fish, trout is usually milder. If fresh fish is too expensive, canned sardines or canned salmon can still be useful. The point is not to make the meal fancy. The point is to make it repeatable. Many people hear omega-3 and immediately think they need a supplement, but food should usually come first when possible. A piece of fish gives you omega-3 fats, but it also gives you protein, selenium, and a real meal. A capsule gives you only one narrow part of the picture. So the first weekly anchor is simple: fatty fish twice a week. Now, fish helps through healthy fats, but the second food works in a different way. It helps protect through color. The second food is berries. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries are small, but they are rich in polyphenols. One group of these compounds, called anthocyanins, gives many berries their deep blue, purple, and red color. That color is not just attractive. It is one reason berries are studied for healthy aging, oxidative stress, and brain health. Oxidative stress and inflammation often move together. Think of oxidative stress as wear and tear at the cellular level. Your body has natural systems to handle it, but with aging, poor sleep, low nutrient intake, illness, and years of processed foods, that stress can become harder to manage. Berries are useful because they bring fiber, water, vitamin C, and protective plant compounds in a naturally sweet food. One large study followed more than 16,000 older women and found that higher intake of blueberries and strawberries was associated with slower cognitive decline. The researchers reported that higher berry intake was linked with a delay in cognitive aging of up to about 2.5 years. That does not mean blueberries are medicine. It means a simple food, repeated over time, may support the aging brain as part of a better overall pattern. For seniors, berries are also practical. They are soft, easy to add to breakfast, and available frozen all year. Frozen berries are one of the smartest choices because they do not spoil quickly. You can stir them into oatmeal, add them to plain yogurt, blend them into a simple smoothie, or warm them gently with cinnamon as a dessert. A good breakfast might be oatmeal with blueberries and chopped walnuts. That gives you fiber from oats, polyphenols from berries, and healthy fats from walnuts. Another option is plain yogurt with strawberries and a spoonful of ground flax or chopped nuts. This kind of breakfast usually gives steadier energy than a pastry or sweetened fruit yogurt. The key is to eat the berries, not drink them as juice. Whole berries contain fiber, and fiber slows down how quickly sugar enters the bloodstream. Juice removes much of that structure. Jam is also not the same as berries because it is usually concentrated and sweetened. If you want the anti-inflammatory value, keep the fruit as close to whole as possible. So, the second weekly anchor is this: berries 3 to 5 times per week. As you listen, choose just one of these foods that you could realistically add this week. The goal is not perfection. The goal is repetition. By now, you can see the pattern forming. Fish gives you omega-3 fats and protein. Berries give you color, fiber, and polyphenols. But the third food brings nutrients many older adults do not get often enough, especially for the brain and blood vessels. The third food is leafy green vegetables. This includes spinach, kale, collard greens, Swiss chard, bok choy, arugula, romaine lettuce, and other dark green vegetables. Many people hear leafy greens and immediately think of cold salad, but that is only one option. For many seniors, cooked greens are actually easier. Greens can be added to soup, folded into eggs, softened in a stew, stirred into pasta, mixed into rice, or blended into a sauce. You do not need to sit in front of a large bowl of raw salad every day to get the benefit. Leafy greens matter because they contain folate, vitamin K, magnesium, potassium, lutein, beta-carotene, natural nitrate compounds, and fiber. The benefit is not one magic nutrient, it is the combination. These nutrients support blood vessels, gut function, bowel regularity, and brain health. One study of 960 older adults with an average age of about 81 found that eating green leafy vegetables was associated with slower cognitive decline. People who ate about 1 serving of leafy greens per day had cognitive performance that was described as the equivalent of being about 11 years younger compared with people who rarely or never ate them. That number is powerful, but it should be understood correctly. It does not mean spinach cures memory loss. It means leafy greens should not be treated like decoration on the side of the plate. For older adults, they can be a daily support food. The easiest way to eat more greens is to attach them to meals you already make. If you prepare soup, add spinach in the last 2 minutes. If you make eggs, add chopped kale or Swiss chard. If you make noodles, add bok choy. If you make a sandwich, use romaine. If you make rice, stir in finely chopped greens with olive oil and garlic. Cooked greens are often easier than raw greens because they are softer, smaller in volume, and gentler to chew. This matters because the best food on paper is not the best food in real life if it is hard to chew, hard to digest, or too unpleasant to repeat. So the third weekly anchor is this: leafy greens most days. Not a mountain, not a punishment, just one small serving added to something you already eat. At this point, we have healthy fats from fish, color from berries, and daily green nutrients. But the fourth food may be the one many seniors underestimate the most, especially if they struggle with constipation, blood sugar swings, or feeling hungry soon after meals. The fourth food is beans and lentils. This includes lentils, chickpeas, black beans, navy beans, kidney beans, split peas, and other legumes. Beans are not glamorous. Lentils do not sound exciting. But nutritionally, they are powerful because they bring plant protein, soluble fiber, resistant starch, magnesium, potassium, and slowly digested carbohydrates into the same food. This combination matters because inflammation is closely connected to the gut. A large part of immune activity is influenced by what happens in the digestive tract. When fiber reaches the colon, helpful gut bacteria can ferment it and produce short-chain fatty acids. That sounds technical, but the idea is simple. Fiber feeds beneficial bacteria, and those bacteria produce compounds that support a healthier gut environment. Beans and lentils are also useful for blood sugar because they digest slowly, especially when eaten with vegetables and healthy fats. This can help reduce the sharp rise and crash some people feel after meals built mostly on white bread, white rice, sweets, or refined flour. Health link. BC notes that soluble fiber helps manage blood sugar and lower blood cholesterol, and that beans, peas, lentils, nuts, seeds, oats, and some fruits and vegetables are sources of soluble fiber. It also recommends increasing fiber gradually to reduce gas and bloating. That last part is important because many seniors try beans once, feel bloated, and decide they cannot eat them. Often, the problem is not the food. The problem is starting too quickly. Do not begin with a giant bowl of chili. Begin with 2 tablespoons of lentils in soup. Add a 1/4 cup of chickpeas to a salad. Try 1/2 cup of black beans with rice and vegetables. Red lentils are often the easiest place to start because they cook quickly and become soft. They can almost disappear into soup, which is helpful if you do not like the texture of whole beans. A simple senior-friendly meal could be lentil soup with spinach. That gives you 2 foods from this list in one bowl. Another option is hummus made from chickpeas, olive oil, lemon, and garlic, served with soft vegetables or whole grain toast. A third option is black beans with eggs and avocado for a filling breakfast that keeps energy steadier. There is also research on legumes and inflammation. A 2024 systematic review and meta-analysis of randomized trials found that non-soy legumes increased adiponectin and lowered interleukin-1 beta in adults with overweight or obesity. In plain language, some inflammatory-related markers moved in a better direction. This does not mean beans fix everything. It means they are a serious food, not just a cheap filler. So the 4th weekly anchor is this: beans or lentils 3 to 4 times per week, starting small and increasing slowly. If you remember only one thing about beans, remember this: go slowly enough that your gut can catch up. Stay with me to the end, because after the 5th food, I will show you how these 5 foods fit together in one simple weekly pattern. Knowing the foods is helpful, but repeating them in the right rhythm is what makes the difference. The 5th food is walnuts and other unsalted nuts. Walnuts deserve special attention because they contain alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA, a plant-based omega-3 fat. Walnuts do not replace fatty fish because fish provides EPA and DHA, but walnuts are still valuable because they bring healthy fats, fiber, magnesium, vitamin E, and polyphenols in a small portion. Almonds, pistachios, pecans, and hazelnuts can also fit well, especially when they replace processed snacks. This is where many older adults can make an easy change. Instead of biscuits with tea every afternoon, try a small handful of walnuts with a few berries. Instead of chips at night, try unsalted pistachios in the shell so you eat more slowly. Instead of croutons on salad, use chopped almonds. These are not dramatic changes, but they change the quality of the snack. The research on nuts is strongest when we look at dietary patterns. In the pre-dimed trial, people at high cardiovascular risk who followed a Mediterranean diet, supplemented with extra virgin olive oil or mixed nuts, had a lower incidence of major cardiovascular events compared with the control diet. The lesson is not that nuts alone protect the heart. The lesson is that healthy fats from foods like nuts and olive oil can belong in a heart-supportive pattern. Portion matters. A serving of nuts is about 1 ounce or a small handful. You do not need a large bowl. Nuts are calorie-dense, so the goal is a small regular portion, not unlimited handfuls. If whole nuts are difficult to chew, chopped nuts, ground nuts, or thinly spread nut butter can make the same idea easier. So the 5th weekly anchor is this: a small handful of unsalted walnuts or other nuts about 4 times per week. Now let us bring these 5 foods together, because this is where many people lose the benefit. They know what is healthy, but they do not know how to repeat it. And without repetition, the body does not receive a clear pattern. A simple anti-inflammatory week might look like this. On Monday morning, oatmeal with blueberries and walnuts. On Monday evening, salmon with cooked greens and sweet potato. On Tuesday, lentil soup with spinach. On Wednesday, plain yogurt with strawberries. On Thursday, sardines on whole grain toast with tomato. On Friday, eggs with sautéed greens. On Saturday, hummus with vegetables. On Sunday, trout or salmon, again with a side of greens. This is not fancy. It is not a diet challenge. It is not a punishment. It is simply a routine that gives your body better signals again and again. And this is the most important point. Your body does not respond to one perfect meal. It responds to what you repeat. If you eat salmon once a month, that is fine, but it is not a pattern. If you eat berries one morning and then return to pastries every day, that is not a pattern. If you eat one salad and then avoid vegetables for 2 weeks, that is not a pattern. A pattern is what your body sees again and again. So use these 5 foods as anchors. Fatty fish anchors your omega-3 fats and protein. Berries anchor your color and polyphenols. Leafy greens anchor your daily brain and blood vessel nutrients. Beans and lentils anchor your gut, fiber, and blood sugar support. Walnuts anchor your healthy snack routine. If you want to start this week, do not change everything. That is how people become overwhelmed. Choose 2 foods. Add berries to breakfast 3 times this week. Add lentils to soup once or twice. Next week, add 1 fish meal. The week after that, add greens to 1 meal a day. By the end of a month, your meals may look very different, but the change will not feel punishing. There is also a simple way to check whether a meal is working for you. After you eat, ask yourself 3 questions. Do I feel comfortably full, not heavy? Does my energy stay steady for the next 2 or 3 hours? Does my digestion feel calm? If the answer is yes, that meal is probably moving in the right direction. If the answer is no, adjust the portion, the cooking method, or the combination. Before you go, write these 5 foods somewhere visible in your kitchen: fish, berries, greens, beans, walnuts. Then tell me in the comments which one is easiest for you to eat every week and which one is hardest. For many seniors, the hardest food is not the healthiest one. It is the one that does not fit their habits yet. You are not trying to eat perfectly. You are trying to give your body fewer battles to fight every day. That is what anti-inflammatory eating after 60 should feel like. Not fear, not a miracle, not a strict plan you hate, but 5 simple foods repeated often enough that your body has a calmer place to live. Fish twice a week, berries several times a week, greens most days, beans and lentils 3 or 4 times a week, walnuts in small handfuls. That is a simple anti-inflammatory routine after 60, and it may be one of the easiest places to begin.